Hey guys, Chris Santana here. I know that there are a lot of phrases that are being thrown out there and lingo that's hard to understand when it comes to all the stuff that's going on in our industry. One of them is warn letters, and a warn letter is simply an obligation that an employer has to its employees should they anticipate a mass layoff, and certain states require a certain amount of time for this employer to notify its employees. Now, keep in mind that the employer can go over that and simply pay a fine. So that's not something to really take too much to heart. And don't confuse a warn letter with an actual furlough notice. They're two separate things. One has to do with the company's obligation with the state, and the other has to do with the company's direct communication with the employee, notifying them that in fact they are going to be furloughed. An overage simply means that the company has more flight attendants than jobs to offer those flight attendants. And of course, the company has their own way of figuring out how many flight attendants they need. But when you keep hearing the word overage, it's really simply a difference between the amount of people we have versus the amount of jobs we have for those people. The other one is furlough. So when you're furloughed, at the time of furlough, whatever seniority you had at that time, whatever amount of money you were making, your actual pay rate is the pay rate you will return back to when you come back as a recall. So if you were making $22.10 an hour, for example, to give you an example, and you're furloughed and you're out for a year and a half, and when you come back, you won't be paid what you would have been making had you been here for that year and a half. You will be paid what you were making at the time that you left for the furlough. That's something to keep in mind, because I'm reading some stuff on social media where people are assuming that their pay continues to accrue while they're out on furlough. Your pay does not continue to accrue. I was furloughed twice, and I was actually behind on the pay scale a couple of steps because of the amount of time that I was out in both of my furloughs. The other thing is also the overage leave. So an overage leave is something that the company offers when they have too many flight attendants. In the scenario that we're facing right now, I want to make sure that I explain that an overage leave is not necessarily what's going to help reduce a furlough. The company has already stated that they foresee a smaller airline in 2021. So what this means is that what the company actually needs is people to actually take VEOP'S, which is when flight attendants choose to separate completely from the company. If the company is going to be smaller in 2021 and they offer a certain amount of overage leave, let's say for instance they offer 200 overage leaves for a year, well, in a year those 200 people are going to come back. And if we're going to be smaller in 2021, what we want is maybe 200 VEOP'S instead of 200 overage leaves, because what we want is to make sure that when a job is saved, that is saved long term. As in my case, when I was furloughed the first time, after I was recalled and came back, I was furloughed then again a year and a half later, because all the people who took overage leaves actually came back and put us back in a situation where the company had an overage. So I want you to make sure you understand the difference between an overage leave and a VEOP. And of course, the company is not in a position, as the head of flight service has said several times, to offer cash incentives or to offer medical for people to take VEOP'S. And that is solely their issue. I mean, they created that scenario. The company has a lot of debt, and debt is simply obligations the company has to pay. And we're in a position right now where our top executives made the decision to do stock buybacks. And that put us in a situation where our cash available to do something like offer money for a VEOP, to pay for flight attendants to have a bridge to medical, to retirement, all those things that can make a VEOP more enticing are almost impossible now, simply because of the position the company itself put us in with the stock buyback. So that's the history of why you hear over and over members of management saying that they can't offer cash because we're burning so much cash. And when you hear burning cash, it's basically money that we're spending that we're not making in revenue. So if the company is saying that they foresee a smaller airline in 2021, and they're also saying that they want to reduce the overage by as much as zero if they can, the only possible way to do that, to ensure that these furloughs or these people who may be furloughed have jobs, secure jobs, is to offer an attractive VEOP so that flight attendants who separate from the company permanently allow the people who are at risk to getting furloughed to have a job permanently. Because you can be you may not be furloughed this time around. It doesn't mean you're not going to be furloughed later. And please focus on that very point the company continues to make, that they want to be a smaller airline in 2021, because they can say that and then at the same time mislead you and make you think that they're trying to completely negate the overage that we have. Please stay informed and please stay ready. Take care.